What we're going to take a look at here is a general condition for finding out if two strategies are best responses to each other. So for example, here we have the game rock, paper, scissors. And what we're interested in is this row strategy a third, which plays each action randomly a third of the time? And this strategy, which plays the last two actions with equal probability a random amount of time, are these two strategies best responses to each other or not? And so what we're going to do is think about this rather rigorously and look at different ways of calculating what the conditions would have to be. So let's start off by considering, is sigma c here a best response to sigma r? So if we know that the row player is playing a third, is this a best response? And so the way we can do this is take a look at sigma c, sigma rb. And so sigma rb gives the expected utilities of each of the column player's actions against sigma r. And if we calculate that, we get 0, 0, 0. And so that means that if I were to play rock all the time, I would get a score of 0. If I were to play paper all the time, I'd get a score of 0. And if I'd play scissors all the time, I would get a score of 0. And this is a very useful thing to have, because we can, for example, immediately go, okay, so what is the best possible action choice, not strategy choice, but action choice, which is, what would the utility be? Well, sigma rb, taking the max of that, is 0. So the best possible choice a column player can make is to choose an action which will give them 0. Okay? And now what we want to know is what values of this particular sigma c give us that 0. What actions of player I give us that 0? So sigma c plays the last two actions with non-zero probability. Essentially, it says never play rock. And so we can work out if this is going to be a best response using that. And what we can do is, if I just move this a little bit, is we can say, all right, sigma ci is greater than 0 when I is equal to 2 or I is equal to 3. And we can go and sigma c2 is equal to sigma, not sigma c, pardon me, and sigma c2 and sigma c and sigma r b2 is equal to sigma r b3. In fact, they're all equal, and they're equal to the maximum that sigma r b can be. And so we can immediately go, all right, yes, sigma c is a best response to sigma r. Sigma c is indeed a best response to sigma r, because the very best action score is a 0, and all the things that are played within sigma c give you 0, so there's no other place you could get a bigger score. Now, to illustrate this a little bit more, let's see if sigma r is a best response to sigma c. Okay, and so what we're going to do is a very analogous calculation. We're going to say, all right, what is A times sigma c? So if we know that sigma c is 0, a half, what is A times sigma c transpose? and that is equal to 0 minus a half and a half. And so this gives us the values of all of the actions, played by the row player. So this tells us that if we play rock all the time, we get a value of 0. If we play paper all the time, we get a value of minus a half. And if we play scissors all the time, we get a value of a half. Okay, and if we look at sigma r, we see that sigma ri is greater than 0. In fact, is for all values of I, so it's for I equals 1, I equals 2, or I equals 3. But we immediately note, for example, that a CT2 is not equal to the max of a CTI. Indeed, this row strategy is telling us to sometimes play the second strategy, but that will sometimes get us a score, of minus a half. Whereas the one and only thing we should do is try and always pick up an action of a half. So against sigma C, this sigma R is not a best response. And what we can actually do is write out a condition for our strategies to be best responses to each other. And so that's what I'll go ahead and do now. And we say that for a game A, B, sigma R star is a best response to sigma C if and only if this condition holds, which is that if sigma R star I is greater than 0, then a sigma C transpose I is equal to the maximum that a sigma C transpose K for all possible K can be for all I belonging to the action set of the row player. So that's saying that sigma R star is a best response to sigma C if and only if sigma R tells us to play strategy I, then it must be that the action I, the ith action in that action set, gives us the maximum possible value of all the actions, which is the calculation we did before. A proof of that exists. We can prove this by applying the definitions, and there's a link to the proof in the description of this video.